So, good afternoon. This is the last panel of the day, but I guess you're gonna think we're gonna play together and you're gonna like it because this is what I call the retail mix. It's all about retail. We have expert retailers with us tonight or today, independent shops working with independent brands, and they're really gonna tell us how does it work? What are the best practices? How do they make it successfully? What are the winning formulas when you are an independent founder and owner of a retail business? I'm Laurence Rigo-Clove. For those who don't know me, I work here for, I'm here representing Essence and Essential. And a piece of information for everybody is that what we're going to talk about today, you can read it on the Essential website next week on Friday. So don't need to take notes. You can read everything next Thursday on the Essential website. So, to start our kind of unplugged retail session, I wanted to tell you why I picked my speakers. Not only because of course, I think they're really good at what they do, but also because it gives a different angle on some countries and towns that maybe are not the most obvious ones, but are so interesting on the perfume map. So they really give us a different angle and maybe a bit less known. So I thought that was interesting. And oddly enough, their capitals all start with a B. So it's the B gang here, or the BCs. We have Bucharest, Budapest, and Brussels. So I think it's funny. It's a coincidence, but it's funny. I want to start with a lady, since it's Women's Day on top of it today. So I'm going to start with Christina. I'd rather introduce them because if I let them speak, they will be too modest and they will cut short their presentation. So that's why I prefer to do the introduction. So Christina Balan is the founder of Elysée in Bucharest. And a few things important for you to know. She's actually the only Romanian perfumer who graduated from the Institute of Perfumery in Graz. She has a Bachelor in International Trade from the University of Economic Studies and a Master in Business Administration. She also studied at the Conservatoire National des Arts et Métiers in Paris, so she spent quite some time in France. And her perfume expertise in terms of retail has been acquired throughout 17 years. So, you know, she has all this, you know, years of background of selling perfumes in Romania. In that time, she has launched more than 75 brands. And today, Elysée consists of 2 shops and also a distribution channel. Moving on to Ákos. Ákos Poczkai is from Hungary, so his business called 7 Cents in Budapest. He studied commerce and he specialized in foreign trade and online marketing. He also comes from a different angle because he focused his online work on mathematical modeling, marketing budget allocation. He worked for a big company for many years in marketing. But he changed at one point, you know, his career. First of all, at night, he was a DJ. And I think that influenced the business that he founded afterwards, because his passion for the music, for mixing music, well, is also in his perfume business. So he likes to mix people together, bring them socially and mix them and have fun with fragrances. So that's very strong in his concept. And the 7 Cents Perfumery he opened 4 years ago. And that's his vision, to be an ambassador of niche perfume brands in Budapest, in Hungary, while offering this kind of mixed experience. Kurt, on my left, as you can see, I'm just moving, there's no priority order. I'm moving now to the left-hand side. Kurt Stargier is a co-founder of Smell Stories in Brussels. Stefan is here with us today in the public, and the other co-founder. And Kurt grew up in a typical Flemish town, a little town, and that town is home to one of the best perfumeries in Belgium. So maybe that is the, became the logic for Kurt now owning another perfumery. He studied economics and marketing and started his career also in in fashion, in a fashion designer company. He moved to the service industry. He worked in product development, marketing, customer experience for more than 20 years. But in his spare time, he liked to collect perfumes, and he also liked painting, photography, and of course, fashion. One day, back in 2019, he fell in love with a retail space that was for rent in Brussels. And that was the perfect place to start a niche perfumery business together with Stefan, his partner. So now it's 5 years anniversary for Smell Stories. And this is the end of my introduction, but I think it sets really well, who you have in front. So now I want to start with a gimmick, question, because the names are kind of original and fun. So, Kurt, I'm starting with you. Why did you pick this name, Smell Stories?
Well, we wanted to have a name that is quite simple, easy to understand, and also playful, because we don't take ourselves too serious. We want to have a fun experience brand, a fun experience store. So we wanted also something active. So smelling is an action. So that already indicates that what you can expect when you come to our store. It's an action. You have to do something. You have to smell, and we smell together. So that's the first part. And smelling is also quite down to earth. So we wanted really that word, and not scent or something. Or, well, which is also nice, but for us it was about the activity. And the other one is the stories. And stories has for us works on two levels. First of all, one of our main pillars, I think, in our business is that we like to tell stories. We find it very important when customers come to our store that we can explain to them the inspiration of a perfume, the inspiration behind the brand, the story of the founders, of the perfumers. So it takes quite a lot of time, but we think it's really important that people don't just buy a bottle of perfume, but that they also go home with the story behind that perfume. That's very important to us. And the second thing is that as soon as you buy a perfume, you start to make your own stories. So that's also very important. I think for us, what we try to achieve is that people always remember that moment when they bought a fragrance. And that's where their story with this perfume starts. So hence the name Smell Stories.
And it sounds well, so...
Yeah, because what's really funny, so when people walk by our store, they very often start smiling. And they say, oh, what a funny name, it Smell Stories. And that's good because they will remember it probably.
And you, you kick off a story as well.
Exactly.
So, there you go. Very, very interesting. So it's thought through in a very consistent manner. What about you, Akosh? What about 7 Sense?
I mean, a fun answer is a very selfish one to say 7 is my lucky number. So obviously it's a number with a lot of symbolic. So I thought everyone can pick from the number 7 whatever they like about it. For me, it certainly resembles luck. The other reason is also with 7, of course, it has this floating of time with the 7 days of the week. And I find it quite romantic to have this kind of timely attitude to the number 7. And the other 7 is basically to give fragrance to the very mundane, like everyday things in terms of like 7 days in a week. And also the extraordinary. So because of course you also have the weekend, you have the evenings, and so on. So basically, the idea was to give fragrances for every occasion possible. My choice of name with 7 cents, of course it's in English, that was not the smartest one in terms of location, because in Hungary I've heard multiple versions of this name, particularly in the beginning, mispronouncing it very harshly but very funnily.
Okay.
And I thought in the beginning it doesn't matter as long as they like it, as long as they say it with love, it's fine. They can call it whatever they like, as long as they like it. Up until today, I sometimes get phone calls asking, I'm sorry, how do you pronounce the brand's name? On the positive side, though, it's an international name, so it gives us the chance, if I would like to grow the company outside of Hungary, that it can be done. So that gives a perspective that maybe, will happen one day. So that's a positive aspect of the name being in English.
Good. So I like the fact that you are telling us in a transparent way that it doesn't always work with the Hungarian public, but it works for your company and it's unique. So, how about you, Christina? Élysée?
Now, this year we are celebrating 17 years of Élysée already, and 17 years ago I wanted to start this perfume story with something like the most of all, the most beautiful place of all, and I was inspired by Élysée Gardens, which means paradise, where everything is perfect, like the smell, the flowers. I was inspired by the Greek mythology. And of course, the other inspiration was Paris, Champs-Élysées, because France is another love of mine. And yes, I was living for a while there. And yes, for me, Élysée, it's like the heaven of senses. And this is how Élysée rose up in my head 17 years ago when we started the first store in a Versailles villa in the downtown of Bucharest. So everything was like a French kind of thing, and it's still there, and I'm happy that we are now celebrating 17 years of Élysée.
And you don't have the issue in Romania with the name. It's easy to pronounce.
Yes, it's because between the two words, for the ones who didn't know, Élysée name was Little Paris, because almost everybody spoke French, and yes, Élysée is something close to our client's heart.
Good. So moving on to the first really beefy question, I want to ask Kurt to explain to us really what are the fundamentals for his business in terms of performance pillars.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think our business rests on 3 very important pillars for us. The first one is the in-store, the store itself, and the in-store experience. I worked in customer experience for a long time, so I already knew that this was going to be very important for us. The second one was the personal approach. I will go into the details later. And I think the third one is the uniqueness. So we really try to bring something unique in terms of brands, for instance. So the experience is well thought throughout the whole store. Well, the whole store is quite small, the store, but anyway, we try to really already from the outside make clear to people that pass by that you come there for an experience. So when you look through the window, the first thing you see is this big yellow table, which you can see over there probably. Yep. And there are shelves with perfumes, but you already understand from the outside that it's not the point that you just come in and walk by the shelves and take a bottle. You see the table, you see the chairs, so we really want to have this discussion with our customers, and very often it happens also that customers start discussing about perfumes together. So it's more like a community, it's more like a venue where you pass by, where you can spend some time, where you can explore new things, and where we can have an interesting discussion together. So that's part of the experience. Another element important for us in this experience is that we very often organize events. events with perfumers. Some of them are in the room, like Spiros from Baruti and Manos from Manos Charakinis. So that's really important for us. As I said, the stories are important. That's our name. But there's no better way to tell the story than to have the founder of the brand himself or herself in the shop and explain it directly to our customers. So we really want to have this connection and to make it very personal. Another element, for instance, is that on a monthly basis, we organize perfume tastings where people can register and they come together around the table, and together we smell perfumes, we discuss perfumes, we explore our preferences. So that's a really fun experience, and it's also kind of a fun way to educate people about niche perfumery and to make them aware that there are other things in the world than what they maybe already know. So the experience is, I think, a key element for every brick and mortar store. It's not just a store, it's really a place where you can have a good time. Then the personal approach, so we started 4 years ago, Stefan and I, and we do everything by ourselves. So when you come to the store, you'll meet one of us. When you contact us on WhatsApp, on email, if you call us, if you send us a message on Instagram, it's one of us that will reply. If you order online, one of us will wrap your package, write a personal note, and send it to you. We fill the tester vials, which we sell, we fill them ourselves in front of the customer. So that's also part of the experience. It's like handmade. So this personal approach, I think, will be in the future very important for every independent store. That makes us different than the online world or the bigger companies, I think, I hope. And the third element, of course, is the uniqueness. What we experience is that the younger generation are really looking for something unique and to really, how could I tell it, show their personal identity. And create their personal identity. Like in the neighborhood where we are located, in the center of Brussels, we have seen a rise in vintage stores and tattoo shops. And both of them, in fact, are very popular with the younger generations because there they can find unique pieces of clothing. There they can get their own personal tattoo, which is their own personal identity on their skin. And I think it's the same with perfume. It creates your personal identity. That's why we invest a lot of time in research for brands and really look for smaller, unique brands that do something different. And that's why people come to us as well, I think. I hope.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, as you can see, it's very rich. It's a little condensation. I mean, Kurt can talk more about this, but I mean, it's already giving you, you know, 3 important pillars that are very strong and powerful and work really well. You even told me that some of your clients, they become really good friends thanks to your...
Yes, like the events, we always try to attract new customers, of course, but there's this like small community in Brussels that exists now, and they really ask us when will be the next event because we want to see each other again and we want to come again. So it's really fun, you know, it has to be fun.
It's bonding together through perfumes. So this was Brussels and Smell Stories. Now we're going back to Seven Sense. And Akos, what do you think are the most important success factors for you?
I mean, in terms of presentation, I think like presenting perfumes beautifully is kind of a basis. So I don't really want to talk about it much. We try to go for an apothecary look, actually like with a bit of mystery behind it. And we did not succeed buying old apothecary furniture, which I tried for a while, and then I just let it recreate it basically. The perfumes are all backlit. They basically light up, and I think it's as if they were alive. So that in terms of presentation is, I think, a big plus. I see the difference when at night the lights are switched off, just how different they look like.
It's disco light.
It's disco light, and the fun thing is, okay,
sorry,
you're laughing now, but there is a truth in there because the shop's actual lighting system is made in a way that we can make it to a disco.
Aha.
Not the backlighting, but the shop lighting. And in fact, we do use that. We can make like a very dramatic light effects. Just as an example, we can make it turn completely red. The entire shop like fluorescent red. We use it sometimes, of course it's kind of blinding and not pleasant for like a full day, but we use it as an effect at events. The disco light is a more like a fun thing. We needed a dim function, and we figured that the best thing is to have this fully controllable lighting system, which now we utilize sometimes to have fun and parties. The actual big plus, I think, why 7 Cents started working so early on after opening, because it's also a young company, like 4 years only, is also the events. So I would like to basically connect this dot with Kurt, because that's also exactly what we do, to have events, and events in a way that is fun for people. So it's not like staged, it's not stiff. It's really very welcoming. Everyone gets a glass of champagne if they like, and we present the perfumers in a very non-staged way. So everyone is on eye level. We are all in this together. The perfumer, the perfumery owners, and our guests. And I think it's very appreciated. And again, connecting it to Kurt, we also see that even new friendships are coming through from this, that kind of live their own life, not even connected to us anymore. And that's so wonderful to see. Like, I've heard that there is a Facebook group that was created based on customers that we did not encourage, they just did it. And it's kind of like they are writing to each other when they come to 7 Cents so that they can meet there, not even on an event necessarily. And that's really lovely and reassuring that you know, like, people getting connected with the space, and they feel safe, they feel very happy, they have a great time there, and they like to come. So the event is definitely one, and as you said, Lawrence, I was DJing in my previous life, and I like to bring people together. I really like this opportunity to connect people together, because we can never forget that perfume is incredibly social. It's not just you who enjoy your perfume. Your complete surrounding is enjoying perfume. And it happens to us sometimes that we are approached, excuse me, what's your perfume, even by a stranger, and then it's a conversation starter. So I think that's a really nice thing with the perfume being so social, and events where people don't find it frightening to get in touch with each other because there is a conversation starter. I think the other very positive element that our customers appreciate and like, and it's very accepted, is discovery sets based on a topic, say amber, or say summer fragrances. And then we create samples in a nice box from different brands and a different approach to this topic. And customers can basically experience it, learn it, so they are not facing the hundreds of perfumes in the perfumery, which can sometimes be daunting, let's face it. But they have a choice of 7, which is way more digestible, enjoyable, and they can, you know, share it with their friends, share it with their family. And we see sometimes these samples going a long way in circle before actually a customer comes back to us who we did not know, but got the sample from somebody as a gift or shared or in some way or another. So this is another very strong pillar in our business, basically sampling out, letting people try, letting them experience. A third one, what I would mention, is our content. I put a huge emphasis into content, be it text content to explain the perfumes in text form, which seems impossible, but somehow we have to do it. And also in form of video, which is of course again Word. but to try to bring perfumes close to people who are not present or who cannot travel physically to the store, but they have to make a choice online how to do, with what to choose. And this content is very much loved. We see that we own our advertising spaces, particularly in social media, of course, and I see it as a huge advantage, the creation of videos and explaining in a quality form which is true to us. I don't try to be an 18-year-old cool TikToker because I'm not. But I do use TikTok, not in such a cool ways as the young generation does, but in the ways that's authentic to me. And I think that comes through, so it's accepted and it's liked. And if I can mention a fourth strong point, is it's definitely our very strong bond and very strong partnerly connection with the perfume brands that we work with. We work with every perfume brand directly, and we communicate very regularly. We give feedback. We ask them for input so that we can learn about their perfume, so that we understand the perfume exactly the way it was meant. And through this very strong and close connection, I don't even think about them as business partners in the first place. Many of them I think of as friends, and it kind of gives this opportunity to do very cool things together. I feel because of this, they also feel like making things happen for us, which they might not do for other retailers where they are not connected in such a close way. So that's, I think, is also a very positive thing that I would mention.
So in one way, you have the same personal approach with your brand partners than with your end customers. It's very strong and very personal. I don't know if you noticed, but the discovery set of Akos is also made of 7 scents.
Yes.
So that was your detail, but I guess it's obviously calculated. Now, Christina, we are very eager to hear about you, about Elise's best practices, the very important pillars.
Yes. Considering that we saw this niche business from the very beginning, we were here at Xans even many years ago, 15, 14, and we saw all the brands' evolution in all this time. We had our challenges because the strategy was not, of course, very clear. The niche was bumping in, and we always had to adapt to the players, to the niche market. But I think that our strong point is our database. All this time, we gathered a huge database of more than 10,000 clients, with whom we communicate directly. Because after pandemic, a new channel has developed very strongly, a hybrid, I would say. It's the WhatsApp sales, which from a retailer point of view, it's so important. It's not necessarily online, it's not the retail itself, but it's the WhatsApp with our sales consultant, which it's so important because we have the stores in Bucharest, but we cover all the country with our online store. And that's why it's important to keep a close connection between us and the clients in countryside. And this WhatsApp sales section is so important. Of course, the flexibility. We had to be flexible all this time with our strategy, with the newsletter. Each time we are launching a new brand, we are doing a very clear plan of implementation, consisting in sending newsletters and sending samples to our database, which is most important clients of our database, which has a very, very interesting response, immediate response. And this is an important pillar. Another important pillar is that loyalty program that we have developed. We have a loyalty program consisting in black card, silver, and white card clients, which, depending on their sales in time, receive a specific how to say, a specific encouragement conditions
like a loyalty program.
Loyalty program, which is so important for our black card clients. We offer VIP parking, we offer 1 hour delivery in Bucharest, and a lot of services, you know. And of course, the sales staff, the third pillar, implementation, and all the time investing in our sales staff, because they are our ambassador, you know, considering that we have more store and our business is also distribution, not only retail, because for most of our brands we also distribute, of course, in very highly, carefully chosen places. We had to hire sales staff motivated with the passion and all the time being warm and close to the client, because niche, what is niche? Niche is offering an experience, like Kurt said, like my colleague Akos said, we have to offer our clients something else in order to feel motivated to come, to park, because now it's, after pandemic, it's even harder to come in a store, to make this effort, and we have to reward their effort, the client's effort. And us, the retailers, we know how hard it is, but how rewardful it is when clients are coming back and they are satisfied with our services and with our products. So mainly these 3 pillars are our key points to succeed in all this year and to be there like an important player on our market.
Wonderful. I mean, you have this huge database, like you said, 10,000, and then the loyalty program also, which is, the key, like, you know, really retention, keeping, you know, the repetition purchase, which is super important. You touched already on some challenges, so I'm going to go back to you, Kurt, and ask you, what do you think, now that we talked about your main strengths, what are the areas that are, you know, areas to watch out because they are challenging?
I think one of the challenging things for us is nowadays, so we have a brick and mortar store, we have a web shop, we are on different social media channels, we have to be reachable through every possible channel. And I think what is sometimes a challenge is people switch from channel to channel. They send a message, then they come to the store, they have done some research on the website before, they go home, then they send an email, and then they want some more advice, and then they buy on the web shop, and then they call you again to ask if everything went right. So they switch channels continuously, and you have to be able to deliver that same experience that you want to deliver throughout all these different channels all the time. And you have to make time for that, because we're just 2, so we're in the store, and then you have to monitor all these other different channels at the same time and make sure that you react in a good way, in a positive way, and fast, because that's what people ask. So that takes a lot of time and effort on a daily basis, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so it's this online, offline, and ongoing switch between the omni-channel experience that is challenging. What do you think, Akash, for you, for 7th Sense? What are the areas that are challenging?
I can connect to Kurt there. Certainly the online shop, stock keeping, is a huge task. Keeping there even stock of samples and actual perfume stock constantly online from like 600 perfumes right now, it's a huge challenge. And we run their danger that it's not up to date at all times. We manage it, but it is a huge task. Definitely there, I would welcome a fantastic AI experience or help. Certainly, a challenge is from customer side speed. The demand of new brands, what they have seen on Fragrantica, for example, or on different websites, it is a challenge because they think that everything happens instantly, and it doesn't. And particularly in the beginning, I was challenged by this, and I kind of let that stress come to me, which I don't let any longer, because I believe if someone would like to find a perfume in our store, it's very possible. And the not available things they should not search for, basically. The amount of new brands is certainly a challenge in the niche market, and also from the existing partners who are very speedy with releases, that also puts us under pressure because they have to be in store, obviously, from existing partners, but if they have a very speedy release schedule, financially and even stock space-wise, that is a stress on the business. So we kind of ask ourselves when will come a time when we don't reinvest every single euro that we earn. And I can tell you that time has not come in 4 years. We are waiting.
Good. So you touch on the brand curation, how do you manage a portfolio of brands? Christina, would you like to add some more challenges, or we move on to the brand portfolio?
Yes, I would like to mention that one of the biggest challenge for us was to adapt to the market reality after pandemic, because as I said, people now don't have enough time, and to develop this aspect, which I would like to emphasize, the WhatsApp selling. Now, I'm giving you an example. In one of our store yesterday, there were not like more clients, like more than 10, but there were like more than 30 sales. Because my colleagues keep very close contact with our clients, and they sell in CPU or in other countries by WhatsApp because they trust in our experience, but still they don't like the typical online shopping. Of course, the online is growing. Now it's growing more and more, but not to forget the retail, it's at 75%. So brick and mortar, it's still there, it will be there. So that's why the brands should be aware that we here, the retailers, we have in our hands, of course, very close with them, the power to build a very nice image for them. And as Akos said, the support from the brand and the relationship with the brand, it's so important, because if we don't, I think at the end of the time, the business is a matter of relationship. And if we succeed to create that kind of relationship, supporting relationship, especially in that huge mass of new brands coming on the market, the ones who will succeed will be the retailers which are adaptable, and the brands which know how to support their partners. And they understand that only together they could build something reliable and on long term. And that's why we still have brands like, I don't give names now, but even if we change a lot, because we had to adapt it, some brands are not even on the market that we started with, but we still work with the brands where the relationship was the strongest. Maybe at the beginning the products were not the best sellers, but because the partners supported us, even in the pandemic, even in all the difficult times, we feel not obliged, but we feel like it's a connection. And that connection, if we do this connection, at the end of the day, everybody will succeed from. So this is what I would like to add.
Great. So just to put things into perspective, how many brands do you have at Élysée?
Yes, I forgot to mention, as Kurt said, the curation of the brand is so important today because it's a matter of cash flow. Us here as investors, as the owners of our brands, we have to be so careful with the cash flow because we are at Xsense, we get attracted by so many so many nymphs which are coming on the market and they look amazing and we are like dreaming, yes, this would be perfect in my store and this would be perfect and this would be perfect. And I know because I got lost in this situation for so many times and now I learned my lesson and I need to be very careful when choosing a new brand. And to choose a new brand, I think the most important thing is what this brand would add me, would give me more, because otherwise we are ending to cannibalize. The brands are cannibalizing each other. And it's so important to know how to curate your portfolio because it's nobody's win if we take a similar concept with another one and the older supplier is getting upset because the target is not done. And it's always a matter of thinking, okay, what is the new adding point? And to answer your questions, Laurence, I think that for us, good brand portfolio, it's like 20 something. Now we have 28, but I don't intend to overpass 30. In the past, we have even 70 in our portfolio, and it was always not so, not so rewarding. So we have to be careful.
Okay, so you're just below 30, but you think you're going to go down a bit and probably 20 something is
I think, yes, for who knows how to resist to temptation, yes, yes, it should be like 20, 25 maximum. But it's hard to resist, these days with so many beauties on the market.
Don't come to Xsense anymore.
No.
It's a joke. So, Akash, how about you? How many brands do you have and how do you work with this concept of brand curation, which is a tough one?
It seems I can't resist the temptation because we have 50 brands right now. 50 being said, some of the brands have 2, 3 perfumes. I do not shy away from brands who are in the beginning and who have only 1 or 2 perfumes, but they are excellent. So basically brands that have, say, an over 10 perfume collection, I connect with you that it's about 25, 26 brands that we have, but altogether we represent right now 50 brands. The curation, it's like I follow my own nose, I follow my instinct. I definitely agree with you, Christina, that I try to avoid duplication. Duplication sounds harsh because there's no real duplication, but in terms of style, of course we have to look at it to not have too many very similar genre fragrances. So if we take something new, it has to bring something new to the store. I feel that 7 Scents arrived to a point now where we actually don't need new brands. It doesn't mean that we don't take new brands. We don't know where to put them. The ceiling will be utilized in some way or another. Certainly I agree with the temptation is incredible and the amount of new brands, but we have to be very strong and see what, from a new brand, what is their basically unique selling point. Why are they important? What is it what they bring to the market? And if I can give brands who start now a suggestion, it's really to work on that. To be able to tell customers and retailers why is your product unique, because that's what we can understand, and that really is the only reason why we take on brands. Because it is our investment and it is our money, and cash flow is very important. And yeah, we have to be very strict, but at the same time, we also have to remain exciting because we also have customers who, if they come into the store and it's a rigid, systematic of collections, then it will be unappetizing for them after a while, or they say, oh, there's nothing new here. I'm not going to come the next half year. So we have to keep it dynamic, and I try to do it. I think I overdo it slightly, overcompensate this. Right now I'm starting and trying to learn how to keep this good balance so there's a good speed of novelty in there, keeping exciting for customers, but also to keep it steady and not go overboard with news. Because too many news can again also overwhelm customers. So at the end of the day, this balance has to be found. I would never state that I find the perfect balance, but I try to.
So yeah, it's the critical question from the client, what's new? And you have to, like you say, try and give some newness from the existing brands that you have, and then sometimes also bring new brands and find that balance or perfect harmony. So what about Smell Stories? How many brands and how do you manage this brand curation element?
So at the moment we have about 30 brands, and I think our situation is more or less the same as with Akkosh. We also invest a lot in smaller brands, in very young brands. We have more established brands, but we also are not afraid to launch just a new upcoming brand. There's one in the room here, Body Studios. They have 2 perfumes, young guys, we believe in them, the contact is perfect. So for instance, that's an example of one of the 30 brands. And I really agree with both Christina and Akkosh. The personal contact with the brand is the most important for us. That's the first thing. There has to be a match, we have to understand each other, and we have to help each other. If that's not the case, why should we work together? And because we are a small perfumery, we invest in small independent brands. For us, there's no point in investing in big, established international brands. So we want to have brands that are a bit the same size as we are. So that's important. But I agree, there's the problem of cash flow. There's the problem of temptations. I'm more tempted. Stefan is doing the finances, so then it balances out in the end. And the curation is very difficult. It's very difficult because we are located in Brussels, which is a very international capital, with more than 150 nationalities, different languages, different cultures, and we want to really be accessible for, although we are very interested or specialized in very niche and very artistic perfumes, we still want to be accessible to everybody and not just elite. So that's why we have to have brands in different markets, in different price ranges, in different stories and different images, and it has to be complementary. As you say, they should not cannibalize each other. They should be all completely different, and still they should match with our image. And that's the magic cocktail that you are looking for. Like there are other perfumeries in Brussels, and we have customers who visit all these perfumeries, and all of them know who we are and what brand would fit with us and would not fit with us. So we ask their opinion as well. So we have kind of built this kind of image, and that's what we want to preserve. But it's not easy. Yeah, and we made we're 4 or 5 years, a bit the same as Akkosh. We did make some mistakes, and we probably will do some in the future, but we learn every day.
It's an ongoing learning process, I guess. But now that you touched on different price segments, let me ask you, do you have a maximum price in your head above which you're not going to buy?
So when we started 4 years ago, we put on paper our 10 commandments, or as you could say, or our principles, and one of them was to be, as I said, accessible. So we say a perfume that is over 250, we won't take it. That's our maximum.
Okay. 550 euro.
5 years ago. We had to adapt. Why? Because a lot of brands are now more expensive than that. But still, we want to invest in brands that are not as expensive, but are still niche, artistic, and very good quality. And we have quite a lot of them. And I think another thing that's important, a bit the same as Akos does, I think the sample service that we have is also for us a way to allow, to make it possible for younger people who don't have the big budgets to still go home with a very special perfume. So we have these discovery boxes, we have these monthly boxes that we send, so you can take for 6 months or for a year, for instance. So people who are really into perfume can still have a big collection without having to invest hundreds and thousands of euros. And for us, that's also the customer of the future for us. So when we already connect with them at a young age, I think they will still remain customers when they go to work and earn money and hopefully buy a big bottle then. I think.
They will grow with you.
Yes.
How about you, Christina, with Elysée? Do you also have a price maximum in your head?
For us, I think the post-pandemic era, it's a bit different than before because before in Romania we even succeeded to sell limited edition of 7,000 euro. Now it's incredible, it's unbelievable, but at that time people were spending so much, and for, you know, we were searching for very expensive because the Romanian market is a bit different. It's like a mixture between Italian style and Middle Eastern, you know? It's like we are in the middle of cultures.
It's a good mix.
Yes, it's so interesting because even our cuisine, our style of it's so mix of cultures, and our clients are the same. Some of them are still coming in our Marriott store, in one of our store, and ask, what do you have most expensive? And I said, what? But you know, it's not, it's niche. And some others are really like cursed into the perfumes and searching for ingredients and for every kind of detail. So at the beginning, even if we succeeded to sell expensive, now after pandemic, we noticed that people are more, because we have this, as I said, the history database. We see in the history what about the shopping habits of each and every client. And we saw that they reduced their shopping basket, but still in Romania, when on a check, it's like, even if there are not a lot of clients entering in a store in the same time, but on a check we have like 200-300 euro. So there are people who spend money still without being so careful like in the Western Europe, because I live there and I saw the differences, you know. So still we have in Romania people who are so willing to buy 2-3 fragrances in the same time, but not skincare. So they are not so into skincare. Even if we show something like skincare, they prefer to buy 2-3 fragrances, but not one skincare and one perfume, you know, like it is in Western countries maybe. So it's a culture for perfumes. It's like a search for, like I said, in the Middle East, and they prefer to buy more, not only one. It's interesting. But there are also other kind of clients which have to be we have to curate a portfolio, some products, very careful with the price and with all these kind of details. So this is our situation. It's a bit of paradox, a bit of mixture of the shopping habits.
Good. Well, it seems that you have more or less the same price range as most
yes.
stores. And what about you, Akos?
It's also similar. Saying that, we do not have a maximum price, but I'd say 90% of all our perfumes are under 250, 270 euro. We do have some brands that are higher price range, around 700 euro, but it's not out of snobbery, it's out of quality. And for me, what's important is that I understand the quality behind those products. and can bring it to the customers. So what they pay for is the product, not say the packaging or just an image or an expensive TV ad or something like that. We also have a mix of customers, of course. Some customers search for perfumes in the range of the €100. And as a perfumery, it's very important for me to be able to give a real good quality answer and perfume selection to those customers. And then there are, of course, the customers who search for more luxury, who are very willing to go up to €250, €300. That's more or less, I think, this psychological threshold where it more or less ends with most of our customers.
Okay. So now I want to go back to the fact that online is, of course, growing exponentially. You have a retail business that's brick and mortar, yet you also have your online sales. So how do you manage this rise of online next to your brick and mortar? I mean, of course it's an opportunity, but it can also be a threat. What about that point, Kurt?
Well, I wouldn't really look at this as a threat because it's there. It won't go away. It will only grow. So you have to kind of find a way to embrace it. But it brings new challenges that weren't there before. So when we started 4 years ago, we had this brick and mortar. We had a very basic website, kind of simple. And then I think 4 months after we opened, COVID passed by. And then we had to shut our shop for 3 times. So we were at home. So we had time. So we invested a lot of that time in optimizing our web shop. Because that was the only way we still had to earn a little bit of money. Because we both quit our job, so we needed money. So now every product that is in our physical store is also online and vice versa in 3 languages. We invest a lot of time, like Akosh, in text, pictures, videos, whatever, to try to explain online what the perfume is, although you cannot smell it, of course. So that's still, I think, one of the advantages of having a perfume business, that you can't smell your eye. Well, you can smell your phone, but it won't smell like the perfume, probably. But you have to do it, and it helped us. And I think they are linked to each other. I think for us, I think the brick and mortar element is important for our online customers and vice versa. We have customers who bought from us from, I don't know, from Spain or whatever, and then they go on holiday and they go to Brussels and they come to our shop and they say, oh, I bought from you 2 years ago and now I can see you in person and I take pictures with you and whatever. So they really connect. It's not the one or the other. I think the two can enforce each other. But it takes a lot of time. I manage my website myself. There are a lot of new releases, new brands, so it's a continuous investment to keep it up to date. We have a small stock where all the products are, but they're also packed now with boxes and wrap and whatever to do the online part of the business. So it's really packed, and every morning we go to the shop earlier to prepare all the online orders. So it's an extra time investment. I think people don't really realize what's all needed before a package arrives at its destination. And then when you give it to the shipper, then it's out of your hands and you have to trust them. So yeah, it brings extra work, but it also gives us the opportunity to reach a much broader audience. We now ship to all European countries. We hope to be able to ship worldwide soon, step by step, I would say. But for us, it has been a really important part of our business. And there was another thing I wanted to say, but I forgot, whatever.
No, I think it's already pretty comprehensive. I mean, it shows again that you're on top of every single aspect and you don't have an external supplier. So it always goes back to you and Stéphane. And you acquire along the way another piece of expertise. Every time you add a new block, a new brick, it's another piece of expertise that you add in.
I think there will be a moment when we won't be able to do that by ourselves. But at the moment we do everything by hand, with passion and love. And I hope our customers understand that.
It's excellent, it's working. So how about Akash for 7 Cents? How big is the online opportunity?
I mean, I do love online. Let's start with that. 7 Cents started with an online shop before the brick and mortar was ready. Exactly. So I do love online. I come from online marketing. So for me, it was very natural to go with that, to have a really fantastic web shop with all the functionalities that is needed, all the filter functions, and so on and so on. I feel very confident about our web shop, and I don't feel that it's a threat at all to our brick and mortar shop, because with 7 Cents, many the times happens that customers come into the store, they use it as a shop or as a showroom, and they smell, they figure out what they like, they take home samples or even scent strips, and make a decision later that day or later that week or whenever they are ready to make a purchase, and they are very confidently can do a purchase online if they don't have the chance to come back to the store soon again. I don't feel that these two channels would cannibalize each other at all. It's more like they add to each other. And we have just had last week, okay, I'm gonna be bragging now, we've just had last week an order from New Zealand, which doesn't make any sense to me, but it happened, and it's really lovely actually to bring American perfumes via Hungary to New Zealand. Why not? We live in a connected world. And we on the same hand, or on the other hand, we also do have stories where customers came from Saudi Arabia telling us the story that they were so looking forward to come to Budapest so that they can come to 7 Cents. It's so touching. I can't tell you how wonderful this feeling is that somebody in Saudi Arabia is aware of my store.
And we know how expert they are and passionate about perfumes. So
exactly, it's very humbling, and it's a huge honor that they are aware of it and that they bother and care about traveling for it.
So those are clear opportunities, like you said, that online offers, and good to take. Christina, I think you touched on it, but I think it's very important to go back to this super special delivery express that you have available at Elysée. When we heard about it, Akash, Kurt and I, we were impressed. Tell us about that.
I would not like this to be, I don't know, something like a habit everywhere. Unfortunately, for us, it was like obligation. We had to do that, to adapt to the market, because the competition in Romania is so tough, also with a gray market. You know, because we have to say it, it's still there, and there are a lot of brands and companies who wants to get rid of the stock, and they are there on the gray market, and we have to be competitive to keep a brick and mortar entity work efficiently. We have to be these days we have to be very adaptable, and Akor said he is in love with online. I'm also in love with online. I spend much more than I should, my husband knows. But the situation with the perfumes, because I am a huge fan, I mean, that's why I did also JIP, Institute of Perfumery, from passion. But what I noticed from my point of view, I'm buying news, what Creed is releasing. I want to take it now. I want to, because I am a crazy fan of the perfumes. I notice that whenever I'm in the store and somebody is discovering me and telling me the story and make me feel the DNA of a new release, I love it. When I receive at home the package bought by impulse most of the time, I'm 99% disappointed. I'm 99% disappointed, because you know, you don't feel the touch. You don't. Sometimes you buy looking for some only for some ingredients, which now I can tell you from experience is only a marketing tool. You know, it's like if it is osmanthus there, it's not that it's osmanthus. And sometimes that's why I trust with all my heart in retail recovering, and it's still, if we see the figures, of course, online has a huge takeoff, and I love it. I use it all the time. But I love much more to buy from a store, from a sales consultant who pamper me, who talk with me, because the solitude, it's so important these days, and we see ourselves in the situation that we need to talk with someone to feel a bit humans, you know. And I trust, and I trust that the retail will work as well as online will work well, of course, and not to forget also the competition from the suppliers, because they have after pandemic they developed sampling discoveries. It's amazing, and everybody has developed a very, very professional online discovery. And that's why even more we have to consider the power of our strength, because being a retailer, it's also a real strength now. If we survive after pandemic, it means that we are strong, and we have to continue like that.
Great. So now it's the perfect lead to my last question, which is, to conclude, what do you think is the future of retail, Kurt?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball.
What is your belief?
But what I think is we're living in a very digital world. If you look at AI and the light speed at which new things is coming and more online and more, like now I get a lot of publicity from bots. You know, you can install a bot who creates your pictures for your Instagram, creates the text, and even replies to all the comments automatically without any human interaction. And I think, okay, that's the future. But what about the human connection and the personal touch to it? So I really believe that personal contact and taking time for each other will become the new luxury, will become very crucial and very special and very appreciated. So I think there is a future for brick and mortar retail. Especially in perfumery, because it's, well, maybe they will, I know they are doing research to digitize scent, so maybe one day we will be able to smell from a screen. But I think the personal contact is what makes the difference. So yes, I believe in the future of retail, yes, together with good partners and good customers. So. And we had a contact with one of our partners today, and he says it's like a train. We all have our own wagon, but there's one locomotive, and we all are on the same train. So we have to collaborate together. And I think that was a really good image.
So you're going towards a new destination together.
Yes.
And the story goes on. Yes. And Akos, are you the same, sharing the same upbeat?
Absolutely.
Upbeat note.
Pun intended. I absolutely share the same sentiment. I totally think in the future of retail. I believe, like, my vision of the future of retail is really combining experience with fragrances rather than just a perfume store. So, say when Rubini Profumi, for example, came to Budapest with their perfume, which was inspired by an Italian Formula One driver. We had almost a car that driver drove from like the 1930s, and whoever purchased that perfume could ride with the driver around a circle between two bridges around the Danube. And people still talk about it. It's been 2 years since that. It's an experience that they'll never forget, and they did not expect it to happen, and they connect that to the brand, they connect it to 7 Scents, and they connect it to this one perfume. These are the things that keep people thrilled. And I think if we keep our spaces exciting, then there's a great future for retail.
So the three of you basically have established businesses, some 5 years, 4 years, some longer like you, Christina, but you all share pretty much the same opinion. I think you have strong similarities in your approach and your vision of retail. And what's really good is to show to other retailers or perfume brands that it's really working. Once you put all those pieces together in the right plug mode, you are winning. So that's the title of that was the title of our retail discussion today. I don't know if some of you sitting with us today have a question for Kurt, Akosh, or Christina. Otherwise, we just end on this super high note. Yes?
Hello, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. I am actually from Canada, and we don't have a lot of brick and mortar stores, period, and the niche market is very thin, maybe because we're not many people. But I would definitely, I've been considering and playing with the idea of opening my own brick and mortar store for quite a few years. And I'm very curious how you guys had the guts to open. And I don't know, I'm just very interested in that portion of just like ripping off the Band-Aid and kind of putting all of your eggs in one basket.
Christina?
Yes, I would start. Thank you for your question. Yes, I think you should do it. So if you are thinking of it, it means that you should do it, and don't be afraid. Because if you have the passion and the, I don't know, the willingness, for sure all the cards will come together. All that you need to take care is to prepare the omni-channel, because now you have the experience of post-pandemic and everything. Me, when I opened the store, online was just a dream, 17 or 16 years ago, was not so developed. I had so many challenges, and I'm not, I don't regret not even one moment, everything will reward back. What you should do from my point of view is to take care to prepare well the omni-channel, because you should consider the social media, you should consider the online store, and of course the location itself. Don't make compromises. Go with a good, how to say, a good where the clients are coming. Don't go in corners or, it's even to wait, but do it properly. And find, if you will be in the store, I'm sure the clients will feel pampered. If you hire somebody, search to be there as long as possible, because it's important to the sales staff to be supervised at the beginning, and to the clients to be treated at the maximum. Now to have a store means that when the client is in Romania, for example, it's a nightmare to park. I'm sure that, I don't know, Canada has wider space there, but yeah. So if I'm driving to come and buy something from you, I should feel rewarded. Smiling, and we are serving coffee, teas, and of course, whatever necessary for the client to feel like a spa. And what it will add value is to find in your portfolio the brands which add like impulse values. For example, it's a lipstick. If you know about the lipstick syndrome, whenever a client, it's the name of the shopping style. Whenever a client is coming for a perfume or just to see, all the time sell something else. And it showed that even the pandemic, each woman bought at least one lipstick. Because, we need to feel special, we need the luxury. And in my opinion, not to keep you longer, I would advise you to go for it because it will reward. And I trust that brick and mortar rewards everything, but of course to go close with online, to consider the online and give importance to this, big importance to this channel. Thank you.
You want to add something?
Yes, if I may add something to, if I may give you an advice, is to consider to have a cash flow that you can survive a year without like a major income. So, because it takes time, you will need patience. That's one advice I would give you because it might not happen overnight. So be prepared for that. To not, end the dream before it actually has a chance to start. Other than that, I would really advise you to start. Because if you dream, like, to be honest with you, when I started 7 Cents, if I put down on paper what I plan to do and give it to an investor, they would have laughed. They would have told me, man, it doesn't make any sense. Put your money somewhere else. And yet, it is a dream. The whole shop is a dream. The collection is a dream. It's kind of my dream. And it worked. And it works, and it's a feasible business by now. So sometimes things that don't look so well on paper can totally work if you have the passion. You seem like, from this distance, that you have a lot of passion. It shines through. People will love it. People will get your passion, and they will feed from that.
So maybe there was another question, correct? Yes.
Hi, my name is Pius. I'm working with Kurt. Basically, what I was curious about, because I heard all three of your approaches to the brick and mortar and also the omni-channel sales, I was wondering, just out of curiosity, if you have any brands in common. And if so, I wonder whether the approach to selling a brand also is more of a personal thing that has to do with your personality, or whether it has to do with the DNA of the brand and how you experience that. I hope my question is clear.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good question. It's just that we have not done the analysis of what are the common brands.
But I do know that Kurt and I certainly have some brands in common. Actually, not even one. We have multiple.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we have a very similar taste.
It's a difficult question. I think in a brick and mortar store, you have the personal experience from the store. And what we try to do, of course, is to transfer the message behind the brand and the vision of the brand and the identity of the brand to our customers. But we do it in our own personal way because you talk to us. If you go to the online, it works different, I think, because I think we're all colleagues, but online we become also competitors. For sure, because people will look around. So will they then, I think once they buy from you, and that's why we also do the samples and everything, and they experience, and that's why the experience is so important, I think, that if they receive their package, that they feel something from smell stories, and that you kind of try to create a kind of loyalty, and that they will rebuy from you. But of course, if there is another online shop that suddenly gives a discount of 40%, which sometimes happens with some brands, what would you do as a customer? I think. So that's a difficult one. Yeah.
And in terms of bringing a brand's message over, if I understood the question right, if it's similar or if it depends on our personalities.
Yeah.
My goal is always to not really add my personality to a brand story. I like to take a brand story. I only take brands that I understand the story and I'm very agreeable and actually in love with their story. Then I take it and I don't feel the need to really add my touch to it. I kind of see Seven Scents as the prolongation of the perfume house's arm. So we try to do the same thing as they do, just somewhere else. Obviously, it's a different experience because in the perfumery you don't just find one brand, but multiple brands. But in terms of how we treat a brand, how we communicate about a brand, we literally try to do exactly what they do because they create their identity and it's created for a reason that way. So in that sense, I would believe that many perfumeries, if they, in my opinion, do a good job, they would tell you a similar story about a brand.
And for me, if you allow me to add, I think in time I reach, for these clients of mine, more than 10,000, as I said, I have a responsibility. I have to offer them what I know it's working. I saw myself in the situation, and this is helpful also for Canada, to like a brand so much, you know, to bring it in the store and to see nobody's buying. So as Akos said, even we don't need to bring because we cannot bring anything to the brand. Just some brands, don't be disappointed if you see that some brands are not working. And after a while, to answer the question, I think that we should consider the DNA of our market and to choose correctly for our clients, because we have, all of us, responsibility to bring them value-adding products. And one more advice, if you allow me. After all this time, I learned my lesson, and I learned it hard, that, you know, a lot of, how to say, stones are claiming themselves to be brilliant. Don't buy everybody's story. Be careful. That's why I ended by doing a very drastic, for me it was drastic at my age, to start a new school and to go to Graz to do the perfumery school. The idea was not necessarily to become a perfumer. I love it. But the idea was, how can I choose in this immensity of brands? I have to understand more, because everybody's saying I'm unique, I'm the best, I am using the best ever material. And I was lying there with all the boxes from a lot of brands and was like understanding anything almost. And that's why you need to be all the time updated with the news and to know how to curate. And all of us, we have this responsibility to curate carefully for the sake of our clients who trust in us and who buy from us. And this is a big thank you from them. Thank you.
Good. Last question.
Just from a brand's perspective, what can brands do to help brick and mortar stores in regards to making an experience with the customers?
Well, I would say a bit like Akos already mentioned, you have to have a very clear and distinct story yourself, first of all. Because there are indeed so many brands, and just saying we high quality, best ingredients, whatever, there's no website of any perfume brands that doesn't say that. So that's not distinct for me. So it has to be a story, it has to be coherent. It's not just a story, it has to be good quality combined with a story. Just marketing is not working for me. It has to be also the product, of course. So I think that's very important. And then having this very close relationship with all your retailers is important, and help them, like with events, like with helping us, how can we display the product in a better way, a window display, something like that, I think is very important. So little things, and help each other, and also online, for instance, on the social media. Yeah.
Thank you.
If I may add, to give you like not just my perspective, but like a general idea of what to do once you already work with a shop. My advice would be to listen with an open ear and open heart. the shop partner of yours will tell you what they need. I say it in a more general way because I think every perfumery works differently. So my need as 7 Cents owner might be somewhat different from another store. My advice would always be just to be a real partner and listen carefully. Also inspire the shops with what you think is very important for them to know. And then I think a great partnership is based on this behavior. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your listening. And yes, watch the space if you want to read the article based on today's discussion on essential.com next Thursday. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.